Okay, good morning everyone. Bill Barhydt here. I'm the founder and CEO at Abra, and it is my absolute pleasure to be with you this morning for another exciting episode of Money Talks. Money Talks is where I get to talk to you directly, answer questions about anything and everything to do with cryptocurrencies, investing in general, markets, governments run amok, and of course the Abra app, exciting new features, and anything else you want to talk about, and hopefully have a little fun while we're doing it. So what I want to do is I want to give you a quick update on what's going on. I mean, it's been an awesome couple of weeks. Before I get into just a general market update, here's an overview of where we are with Bitcoin. We're up about 25% over the last month. We've had a little bit of a pullback this morning. You can see up here on the right, we're in pretty much another short-term, maybe long-term accumulation phase after a really nice run-up. Usually these are fantastic buying opportunities, and we'll see where it goes. But clearly there is no doubt that we're in an uptrend for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Since bouncing off those March lows, Bitcoin is now up over 60% for the year, while U.S. stocks, the S&P 500, are up about 3%. So this is about 3.5x since the March lows for Bitcoin. And after a further 5% price surge on Wednesday, the bulls are clearly in charge, right? So gold is also making new highs as the Fed looks at changing inflation policies, which we'll come back to in a second, and U.S. Congress debates even more coronavirus stimulus. So here's an overview of where Bitcoin stands versus other investment asset classes, right? So Bitcoin, you can see, is up 60+% for the year. Gold is having a fantastic run. This was a couple of days old. I think it's well over 2,000 now. And stocks have actually recovered, but are up a few percentage points for the year. So clearly Bitcoin is the big winner here, right? And you can go back in almost any point over the last 10 years and create a measurement, and Bitcoin will be the clear winner over that time frame. I read a Bloomberg article this week that said Bitcoin mania appears to be almost back in full bloom. So I can tell you that's certainly true at Abra. We're seeing more user activity, more interest, more downloads recently than we have in a very long time, or in some cases more than ever before. So here's the 4-hour price chart over the last month. Again, you can see really nice run up. We're at a short-term consolidation phase, or what appears to be a short-term consolidation phase, which usually represents a fantastic buying opportunity. Okay? So CoinDesk summed this up really well when they said Bitcoin is seen by many as a digital asset investors as a hedge against inflation, and the bets are growing that governments and central banks will have to pump trillions of dollars more than they've already done into the financial system to stimulate the economy out of the worst recession that we've had since the 1930s, basically since the Great Depression. Much worse than we experienced in the financial downturn in 2008 when the banking system almost collapsed. So it's clear that Bitcoin's price for now is no longer correlated with US stocks. That may change, but for now it's certainly the case. Ethereum has had an even more impressive run, and we might say is now paving the way forward for Bitcoin and the altcoin spring we're experiencing. Ethereum is up almost 300% since its March lows and has pretty much clear skies ahead with minimal resistance as it probably starts its march towards 500. We'll see. But the upcoming migration to proof of stake and other new technologies, as well as Ethereum's key role in the stablecoin mania, have clearly created a bullish environment for the cryptocurrency to soar. We're seeing some resistance at 400 right now. I have a feeling it's going to blow past it at some point, maybe even with a pullback beforehand, which could represent another buying opportunity, but we'll see what happens. And so you can see here, very impressive run for Ethereum over the last month, right? Just an absolutely incredible run up. We saw this kind of volatility spike a few days ago where we had a bit of a long squeeze where a bunch of long positions got stopped out, particularly on futures exchanges, which I'm sure I'll get some questions about, and happy to talk more about that in a minute. So the next topic, of course, is is the Fed, right? So you leave it to the Fed to make things even more interesting. So as if the current macroeconomic situation weren't bullish enough for Bitcoin, gold, stocks, the Fed is here to help. The U.S. Federal Reserve appears ready to announce a policy that will make raising inflation up to 4% a priority. Let's think about this for a second. In an economy with the highest level of unemployment since the Great Depression, the geniuses at the Federal Reserve want to substantially increase your cost of living, right, in order to benefit the rich even more. This is crazy. So make no mistake about it. This is the most bullish policy affecting the price of Bitcoin and gold and possibly stocks that we've ever seen, ever. And I don't know that we ever will again see a policy that is nearly as fantastic as this for Bitcoin. In a really interesting newsletter article this week, Anthony Pompliano, you know him as Pomp Online, likened the Fed to the Wizard of Oz from the movie, knowing that the wizard was really a fraudster and trickster using fake magic tricks behind the scenes to make everyone think he was all powerful. The Fed's tricks are based on the assumption that the majority of the public is ignorant to what they're doing and how money really works. In other words, buy Bitcoin. All right. So last week, we announced that all Abra users can now earn 9% on US dollar stablecoins and 4% on Bitcoin and Ethereum deposits with the new Abra interest account. I'm really happy to say that the reaction has been way beyond our expectations. It's just been awesome. We've seen millions of dollars in new account inflows since the announcement. Thank you very much for your support. And our average deposit size in both cryptocurrencies and dollars as stablecoins has never been higher. So whether you're holding dollars or crypto, Abra is now clearly the best place to hold both. And I'm sure we'll get some questions on the details for that. But let's get into it. So we've already got a bunch of questions coming in. So to be clear, we've got an audience on Facebook, Twitter / Periscope, YouTube. We're getting thousands of viewers a week since we upgraded the tech. And thank you for your patience with that. Our viewership has never been higher. So let's get into some questions. Okay, so let's see. A lot of questions already. So let me pick one at random. Well, first of all, thank you for the app and the opportunity to be involved with crypto. How does Abra make money? Okay, so let's get the easy one out of the way first. So Abra makes money in basically two ways. So if you're using the Abra app to trade, and I'll come back here, and so if here's my trading account, if I actually do an exchange between cryptocurrencies in the app, Abra sets the price based upon the current market conditions on the exchanges, and Abra makes a small spread between what you pay and what the exchange price is, and that is how we make money. That's method number one. The second is if you're using the interest account, if we're paying you 9%, Abra may be making something around 1% or maybe a little less as well. So it's kind of the opposite of the way banks work, right? A bank will actually take most of the interest and pay you close to nothing. Abra pays you most of the interest and takes close to nothing. So, but we do make a little bit of money there. So we make money in both ways, and this is meant to be sustainable at very large scale, right? So Abra really needs to grow the business dramatically to make a reasonable profit, and that's our intent. And so the numbers have been going up significantly, and we think we're well on our way to doing that. So thanks for the great question out of the gate. How do you explain the heavy sell-off during the March crash? Does this diminish the argument that BTC is a valid hedge for traditional markets? So not at all. As a matter of fact, I don't have a stock chart handy, but I'll go back to the Bitcoin chart for a second. If you look at the volatility for stocks, it's been crazy, right? In many ways, even more volatile, up and down. But right, so Bitcoin has gone up significantly, like way more than stocks this year. So if you look at the falling value of the dollar recently, right, since the March lows in the stock markets, and Bitcoin's meteoric rise, which has been way more than even than gold, it's clear that Bitcoin represents, because of its stable, float, that we've talked about this whole idea of stock to flow, which is the idea that the amount of Bitcoin in circulation will actually be decreasing. The amount of new Bitcoin in circulation will decrease over time, creates a phenomenal stock to flow for Bitcoin approaching infinity, which in theory should make it even infinitely more valuable than gold, especially in a high inflation environment. And this has really been playing out. I'm a big fan of the Austrian economics school of thought. There's lots of books you can read, and there's lots of websites for Barhydt and von Mises and other Google searches you can do to understand how this will play out. But if you understand that type of economics, Bitcoin is playing it out exactly as these economists predicted a deflationary asset would play out even before Bitcoin existed. And so this is not a new idea. It's just that Bitcoin was the first asset we ever had that was truly deflationary long term, and therefore should represent a phenomenal value at scale. Okay, so great question. What would happen in the short and long term if the US banned or attempted to ban or seize Bitcoin, and how would Abra respond? Well, let's think about that for a second. It's a fair question, but let's break it down, right? So think about it in the context of what we call decentralized systems, right? So a decentralized system in theory has no off switch, right? There's no one server or computer you can shut off and shut it down, right? So if the government wanted to shut Amazon down, for example, just not picking on Amazon, but just any company, they would say, okay, here are the servers, here's the court order, shut them down. Right? So we know where the servers are, we know where the off switches are, we can do that. Now go to like BitTorrent. BitTorrent is an infamous, famous file sharing service which is completely decentralized. It has no central off switch. So the government has tried for years the music industry, I should say, has tried for years to use the government as a weapon against BitTorrent, even though BitTorrent can be used for lots of things besides sharing music files, to shut down BitTorrent, but they can't because there is no central off switch, right? So Bitcoin effectively works the same way. There is no central off switch. So you can't go to one company and say shut off Bitcoin. There is no company. Bitcoin is not a company. So what they can do, for example, is regulate the banks that provide the on-ramps and off-ramps for traditional consumers like us to buy and sell Bitcoin. Now, fortunately for us, they've been moving in the opposite direction of actually opening up the system. For example, the US federal regulator came out last week and actually said it is okay for banks to support cryptocurrencies, to hold cryptocurrencies, and to provide banking services to cryptocurrencies. That's been a big issue in my world. A lot of other startups in the Bitcoin world have been unable to even get bank accounts. And that ruling by the federal regulator called the OCC should help our cause even more, right? So I think we're moving mostly in the right direction. I'm concerned with the announcement with TikTok and WeChat, but for different reasons. I think a decentralized solution like Bitcoin makes it almost impossible for the government to shut off. Okay. Do I anticipate a standardized interest rate for Bitcoin and Ethereum in the future? For example, LIBOR for Bitcoin. That's a good question. The answer is a little complicated, but no, I don't expect a standardized interest rate in the short term. I don't know what's going to happen in the long term because this idea of paying interest on crypto deposits or dollar deposits, which we use as stablecoins, is a relatively new idea, new concept, new phenomenon. And so, as I explained last week, the way Abra generates interest income for you is by running an investment, effectively an investment service inside of Abra that invests those deposits into high yield opportunities, relatively conservative, depending, and there's lots of different counterparties, but that is a relatively new business, and it's something that's still evolving globally. Right? Abra is not the only company doing it, although I think we have the best team doing it. But the point is we're really not sure how those rates will evolve or standardize over time. The other thing I would say is the application of those deposits is very early in terms of the kind of counterparties that we work with. I don't want to overcomplicate the answer, except to say that I actually think that the demand that we would have for those deposits is way bigger than what we're even starting to address. Meaning there's a whole universe of people that actually want to pay us a lot of money, even with a lot of collateral, to get access to those deposits. And so I do believe that at least in the short term, those interest rates have a lot of legs, meaning I don't see them coming down significantly. You know, there's no promise, but right now it looks really good. Okay, so how is Abra different from other DeFi platforms like Comp, Lend, etc.? Which one is better for me? This is a great question. Now, this is a complicated question, so let me try to break it down in kind of reasonable English for the average user. And for those of you who are more advanced here, I apologize, but I want to make sure everybody understands this. So DeFi, or decentralized finance, to me is this idea that I can make an investment to generate yield in something, but I'm not actually working with a centralized entity. I'm not working with a bank. I'm not working with a registered company. I'm using this idea of smart contracts, usually running on Ethereum. And when I put a token like Ether or some other asset, some other token like DAI, for example, into a smart contract, I end up with more ETH or more DAI, right, when I take out or redeem my assets than what I originally invested. Now, Abra is doing the same thing when you earn interest on your deposits. The difference is that Abra is directly managing those transactions for you. We choose the investments. We choose, where they're going. We run an investment committee. We manage collections. We do all the work for you, and then work with our banking partner, Prime Trust, to pay that interest to you on a weekly basis, even though it compounds daily. That's different from DeFi, where in theory, the smart contract automates that process. I'm very bullish on DeFi in the midterm and long term, but it's very early days. In general, you're able to make more dollar interest on US dollar deposits and even Bitcoin Ether deposits in our model versus the DeFi model today. Abra may be looking to support some of those solutions in the future. Nothing to announce, no promises, but I personally am very bullish on it. We haven't decided yet at Abra what our official policy will be, but we follow it, we track it very, very closely. We may actually be listing some of those coins on a trading side of our app in the near future anyway. So it's something we follow very closely. I would caution anyone to put a lot of money into DeFi right now. If you want to dabble with it with small amounts of money, it's okay. But Abra is meant to support very, very large deposits. So we have people putting $10 into an interest account, and we have people putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into our interest accounts. And for us, it's really meant to support any level of deposit. I personally would not be putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into a DeFi system right now, right? These contracts are, in my opinion, not yet 100% stable. We saw what happened with the DAO when it got hacked a couple of years ago. So be very careful, tread carefully with DeFi in the short term, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how it evolves. But in the short term, I would certainly be more likely to trust systems like Abra. Okay? Okay, good questions. Keep them coming. Wow, lots of questions. So I got to catch up here. How easy or difficult is it to off-ramp from Abra to fiat? Well, it's very easy. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my home screen here. Now, you see at the bottom, I have the buttons Portfolio, Alerts, Add Money. That's how I can get fiat or crypto in. Exchange, so I can move between cryptocurrencies or fiat. Like I can deposit fiat and buy Bitcoin, or I can take my Bitcoin and sell it for fiat, which is related to your question. And the last button is withdraw. So if I want to, let's say I have some Cardano here, like you see ADA at the top of the screen. Let's say I convert that to true USD and I want to withdraw. I'm just going to press that withdraw button at the bottom and see where it says bank ACH transfer or bank wire transfer. I can simply press that button, provide my bank details, and that's it. The money will either be wired out or will initiate an ACH transfer depending upon how much money I'm withdrawing. If I want to sell $1 million worth of Bitcoin, for example, I would just do a bank wire transfer because it's an amount that our system would support via wire. Or if I do an ACH transfer, it would be a smaller amount. I think like something like $4,000 or $8,000. So that's how that works. Now, if you want to go to a crypto wallet, you can also do a send to crypto wallet, and that's basically sending to any external crypto wallet you like, and it works easy peasy. So we make it very easy. We have a lot of users, for example, who also use hardware wallets with Abra. They leave, like their Monero or their Zcash into hardware wallets, and then they put it back in Abra if they want to use it. Although we have a lot more people depositing money back from their hardware wallets, if it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, to earn interest right now. Let's see. Why does Abra prevent bank transfers for accounts in good standing and lawful people without any explanation whatsoever? So this is an excellent question. So this is something that we worked very hard on. I'll stay on the bank transfer screen. Let me go to the add money screen. So as you see here with the bank transfer, I can click on add bank, and we support lots of different bank accounts, right, throughout the world, right? So I can literally, these are all the large banks, but there's hundreds of small banks we support as well. The challenge with, and I'm talking specifically to my U.S. Compatriots here, the challenge with U.S. banking is fraud. So if you use our ACH system to deposit money, you have a right effectively to pull back that transaction for several weeks. And if you're buying Bitcoin, you can literally wire the Bitcoin out or transfer the Bitcoin to another wallet and then reverse the transaction. So Abra is taking significant fraud risk on those transactions. So to address that, we have to put every single new depositor through our fraud system. And for whatever reason, it just sometimes creates what we call false positives, which are blocking people who are very good actors, right? It's happened to people I know, my friends, and it's frustrating, but this is part of the frustration of integrating the cryptocurrency world with the traditional banking world. We've gotten much better at it. The number of false positives, meaning the number of good actors being blocked, is very small now, and if you're one of them, I apologize. It's happened to me even in the past with other services, but we're getting better at it. We continue to get better at it. We take feedback from good actors and figure out how to integrate that back into our system. So this keeps costs down for everyone, because if we get a lot of fraud, we have to push those costs out into the entire user base, and we don't want to do that. So we have to err on the side of caution there. Why does your partner not accept green cards or passports for ID purposes? Not everyone has a driver's license. That is a good question. So we will support other ID types, particularly passports. For international users on the interest accounts, we support passports. On the US side, we can actually process driver's licenses faster than passports. So out of the gate, we chose to just support driver's licenses. We are going to be turning on passports, so bear with us on that. I'll talk about that here as we turn on more ID types, more countries, both for IDs as well as bank account support. We're going to be adding that as well. I know I keep talking about it, but it's definitely coming. So let's see, let me just jump around a little bit because I want to make sure I get some of the early questions as well. So if I live in New York, how come the Abra app doesn't show me all of the features such as the interest accounts? That's a good question. So Abra works with regulated entities, both for our trading as well as our interest accounts. The only state in the United States where we are unable to offer our services today is the state of New York. So if you have a New York phone number or an IP address in New York, or GPS shows up in New York, unfortunately we can't provide those services to you today. This bothers me a lot. I don't make the laws. I would invite you to write to your local state senator in the state of New York and complain, but their bit license registration and licensing process is onerous, and it needs to go. That's my opinion. But until it does, we're obviously going to comply with the law. We may get a bit license in the future, but it's not something that we're actively working on. So unfortunately, for the time being, we can't work with people in New York. Now, if you have a New York phone number, but you don't live in New York anymore, and so, for example, you've moved to California, which is very common. I moved from New York to LA, for example. Send us an email to support@abra.com, and we'll tell you how to get your account turned back on if you no longer live inside the state of New York. Okay? So thanks for that question. Let's see, what else? Gains in the last week or month are nice, but for someone involved in active trading, isn't movement in the last hour more important to watch? Well, if you're an active day trader, you're obviously very different from the typical Abra user, right? So let me explain the difference, right? So a day trader is somebody who's trading all day long in order to gain benefits from small price movements. An investor is somebody who's buying and holding for the long term, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks at a time, taking profits and then buying again, right? So personally, when it comes to crypto, I'm a very long-term holder. I'm not a short-term trader. I have separate, accounts that I invest in that do short-term trading, but by and large, for just Bitcoin, I have a long-term position. Okay, so I wouldn't encourage the average person to try to do day trading with Bitcoin. I would encourage most people to buy and hold long-term and use interest accounts to gain extra income. But if you already are an active trader, then yes, if you go to Bitcoin here, we actually show you a day chart, right, where I can actually see, Bitcoin has pulled back today, while it's only pulled back about 1.5%, which relative to its run up over the last month of 25% is not much. But for a day trader, that 1.7% can be significant. So my answer to Russ, who asked the question, is it depends on what your goals are. If your goals are to be a day trader, then yes, you have to look at the last couple of hours or last few minutes even. But most of our Abra users are investors, right? They're investing for weeks or months or years at a time. With true USD deposits into the interest-bearing account, are you insured similar to a US bank? Good question. So no, we are not insured. We are not a bank. I want to be very clear on this. Abra works with a trust company to manage the deposits. We work with Prime Trust, whose name I mentioned a few times. We love Prime Trust. Shout out to the great team there, doing phenomenal work. They've been bombarded with a massive number of account registrations. So thank you for that, by the way. Once the funds are converted to either stablecoins as crypto, you mentioned true USD, or Bitcoin or Ethereum, they are no longer considered deposits in a traditional bank for the purposes of generating or being protected by either FDIC insurance or the securities equivalent or anything like that, or let's say a credit union equivalent of FDIC. So we are investing those deposits into high-grade investments via our internal crypto lending desk to generate those deposits, but the accounts themselves are not insured by the FDIC. We are looking in the future at other insurance opportunities for crypto deposits. Nothing to announce today, but it's something that I would very much like to do. That does not protect an interest-bearing deposit from potential losses. That's where you're relying on our lending desk to discover very high-grade investment opportunities. Okay, you guys always have the best questions. Thank you for that. Let's see. Is the daily interest calculated on the nominal balance of the cryptocurrency or the market value of the currency on that day? So let me go back to the interest account here to answer that question. So here's our Testa wallet with a bunch of money in it. You see I've got Pax, I've got Bitcoin, I've got ETH, I've got true USD. The interest that you're earning is always relative to each wallet individually. So the value of Bitcoin is irrelevant in terms of generating interest because I'm earning interest in Bitcoin, not dollars. In ETH, the ETH wallet, I'm earning interest in ETH, not dollars. Now, with the Pax wallet and the true USD wallet, there I'm earning interest in dollars. Okay? So, but that dollar is converted back to the stablecoin to pay it out. So I hope that makes sense. For each wallet, I'm earning interest on the individual cryptocurrency, not in any other currency. right? It would be like if I had a dollar wallet, a euro wallet, and a yen wallet, I would earn interest in dollars, euros, and yen, right? I wouldn't be earning interest only in dollars. I hope that makes sense. It should, because when you get your interest payments, so if I click on Bitcoin, right, so I see that the interest was paid in Bitcoin, right? So that interest that I've earned, see at the top here it says interest accrued, interest paid, that interest is paid in Bitcoin. If I go to my ETH wallet, you can see I've got interest paid in ETH. It doesn't say dollars, it says ETH. So again, interest is paid specific to the currency you're holding, all right? So excellent question. So let's see, what else? Lots of questions. Let me pick another one at random. Why did you take away the affiliate program? So excellent question. So Abra used to run an affiliate program where other businesses could refer customers to Abra. Abra's business is so unique that we found that the amount of work we were doing was really not worth the effort, to be honest, because the vast majority of Abra's customers were coming directly from the App Store, from Google search words, from social media, from friend-based referrals. Now, what we do want to do is bring back our referral program and improve the referral program tremendously, but I'm not going to give that away right now, so stay tuned for that. I've been an active and avid promoter of Abra in Papua New Guinea. This is David Jacob, for the past 2 years, and have been continuing. How do I get Abra to recognize my efforts here? So first of all, I'm going to recognize your efforts. Thank you very much, David. I know that's not the point of your question, to get a shout out from Bill. But what I can tell you is that we do want to bring back the referral program, which I just mentioned. That's something that we are actively working on. And as soon as I have more to say on that, I will. It is a bad idea, so this is a question from Gustavo. It is a bad idea that the pending status for investing account approval doesn't have an estimated date for approval or rejection. As you know, if we could contact Abra and ask for more information. Sure, you can always contact support@abra.com, SUPPORT @abra.com, and ask them for details. But I can tell you that when we first launched the interest account, the number of incoming requests for the accounts was way more than we had anticipated. So we had to staff up the people manually processing those requests. Keep in mind, the vast majority of people applying for an interest account, their approval and the ID verification is fully automated, meaning usually a person doesn't even have to look at it. We can scan the ID, we can scan the passport, and automatically approve someone. If there's an issue with the scanning, for example, your passport wasn't perfectly lined up, or for example, if you take a picture of a driver's license, make sure you get the whole driver's license in the picture, for example. Sometimes that has to go to one of our awesome back office people, either at Abra or Prime Trust, for more processing. And there they've worked through a huge backlog of people trying to get in the system over the first 10 days. It's only been 10 days since we launched this, but we've been dealing with an influx of thousands of people trying to get in. So bear with us on that. I promise we are getting to every single one of them, including working nights and weekends, and we're working as fast and as hard as we can to process that backlog. But it's perfectly fine for you to send an email to support@abra.com and ask them for an update. Let's see. Can I have 2 Abra accounts, or a feature that allows a long hold partition within the same account? That's a good idea. I mean, you can effectively use the interest account for that purpose right now. So in other words, here's my interest account, right, where you see on the right it says interest account on that tab, and I have Bitcoin. Now if I go back to my trading account, you'll see I also have a Bitcoin wallet there. So I can use the trading account as kind of like a short-term Bitcoin account where I can move money around. I can trade it between dollars and Bitcoin. And for my long-term holdings, I'll just put them into the interest-bearing account. So that's the way I would recommend using Abra now. So trading for more short-term activity, for activity where you know you're going to be selling within a week or so. But anything that you're holding for more than a week or two, or even months or years, definitely move into the interest account because you're effectively getting free money, right? So definitely take advantage of that capability. I'm a total, thank you for that question. That was from Roman. Virginia, Berkeley, lovely name. I'm a total newbie trying to find out how to purchase Bitcoin, as I don't see anything in the program that I have on my phone that will get me to the buy screen. Will support contact me soon. So Virginia, I don't know where you're based, but if you're based in the United States or one of the countries where we support the ability to purchase Bitcoin either from your bank account or via cash, you'll see an add money button at the bottom of the screen. The only place in the world where I think you wouldn't see that button is in the state of New York, or if you're in a sanctioned country like North Korea or Iran, but with the name Virginia Berkeley, I doubt that's where you are. So I'm going to assume for a second that you're in the United States, and I apologize if you're not. But if I press that add money button, I can wire money in via my bank. When I do that, after I provide my bank details and wire the money in, the money will show up in the trading account down here in my true USD balance. I've added all the coins, so I have to scroll to find it. But in your case, it would show up at the top of the screen in your true USD balance. Okay, so at that point, you can convert by pressing exchange. You see the exchange button. I can convert my true USD at that point to Bitcoin. Just like if you deposit dollars into your Robinhood or E-Trade trading account, once the dollars are there, you can buy a stock with them. Well, once the dollars are in this wallet as TUSD, which is our stablecoin, our default stablecoin for USD, you can convert that to Bitcoin by pressing the exchange button at the bottom of the screen. I hope that makes sense. Great question. And by the way, when you're a new Abra user, make sure you provide a correct, valid email address when you sign up for Abra, because you're going to get introductory emails sent to your email account that provide all kinds of tips and tricks and new user processes for new users getting into the system on how to do things like this. We have a fantastic onboarding series. I think it's like 10 emails that we send out one at a time that basically give you all the things you need to know to get started with Abra. We put a lot of work into this. You can also go to abra.com, and there's help getting started guides. There's also a guide for all of the different cryptocurrencies we support to tell you what they're all about, how they're different. And so I would encourage you to look into that as well. Okay, so more questions coming in. We've got people from all over the world. Looks like we've got like dozens of countries here. That's fantastic. Does Abra currently, or does it have any plans to offer recurring crypto purchases? Fantastic question. I don't see a name on that. So this is something that I've wanted, and so I do have a little bit of sway into the features that we get into the app, but we do have a team that works on managing the new feature pipeline. But I can tell you, and so let me explain what that means to make sure everybody understands the question. A recurring buy feature would say, okay, here's my bank detail. Every week or every 2 weeks or every month, I want to buy $100 or $150 worth of Bitcoin, for example. That would enable what we call dollar cost averaging, meaning that even if the price of Bitcoin is going up or down, I'm kind of smoothing out my purchases over time, which should allow me to make money at large scale. By the way, I actually read a study on this. Let me come back to your question in a second. If you remember, those of you who have been following Bitcoin for a while, the price peaked, I think it was January of 2018. And so I've heard people complain that, hey, I bought Bitcoin in January of 2018, I lost a lot of money. Okay, that's pretty much the only way you could have lost money in Bitcoin over the last 10 years, is buying at that time, all right? But I've also seen a study which says if you started buying at that time and dollar cost averaged in over the next year, you actually made a lot of money, okay? Something like 20% a year on average since then. So dollar cost averaging is a good way to smooth out the risks in the volatility of Bitcoin. And the easiest way to enable that is this idea of a recurring buy, where we automatically enable the purchase of Bitcoin for you. So I've talked about it enough to say it's something we've obviously thought about. Now that we've upgraded our tech to be fully custodied, this is something that we want to do. And so stay tuned for future announcements on this, but it's something that I have talked about quite a bit inside of Abra, and I totally get why why this would be a positive for our users. So very astute question. Why does Abra hold on to funds before being able to move them? So this is a question that is very specific to US customers. It doesn't apply to anybody else anywhere in the world, and only applies to customers who are adding money via bank ACH transfer. This is related to the fraud comment that I made before. So if you deposit money via the bank ACH function, you can buy Bitcoin immediately, usually the same day if it's during the week, or often the same day if it's during the week. You can exchange the Bitcoin back to dollars even the same day. You just won't be able to withdraw the Bitcoin to another wallet or back to your bank account. So what I would encourage you to do is to take, if you buy Bitcoin via ACH, move the Bitcoin to the interest-bearing account. Come over here to the interest account, right? Press Bitcoin, and then add that Bitcoin by pressing Add BTC to your Bitcoin wallet. Because while you're waiting to be able to withdraw, you're earning free money. So you may as well do that. And for many people, that's where they want to store the Bitcoin anyway. We don't prevent you from transacting with those funds. We simply have to wait for the expiration on those fraud issues to go away so that we don't end up with lots of fraud where we have to pass those costs on to our customers. Okay? Great app. Would you please release a dark theme? Please, please. Okay, that's Gustavo Valdez. Thanks for the feedback. Good idea, something I hadn't really considered. I will pass that on to our awesome design team. If I clone my phone, are Abra apps considered to be cloned also? This is a good question. So I would not recommend anyone assuming that the Abra app gets cloned. What I would do is I would reinstall Abra on the new phone and reinstall my wallet by using the backup phrase. It's a much safer approach and is guaranteed to work. Now in iPhones, if you restore a phone to a new phone, usually it works without having to do anything, but I still wouldn't recommend assuming that. So how do you do that? So let's say I've installed a new version of Abra on a completely new phone, right? So I've got here my Android phone. Let's say I install it on this phone. Even if I originally, let's say I even got rid of my iPhone and I moved to Android, or I got rid of my Android or worked to iPhone, or in a month I buy the new iPhone 12. It doesn't matter, it all works the same way. All I have to do is click on the menu in the top left here, the 4 lines, we call it the hamburger menu, and see where it says wallet security. It's the 4th item down. I click on wallet security, and I can actually view my recovery phrase, or I can actually, and I write that down. Okay, write it down, put it in a safe place. Now, when I install a new Abra app on my new phone, the first thing it's going to ask me is, do I want to restore an old wallet? I press yes, I type in that recovery phrase, and my entire Abra wallet, the balances, the PIN code, everything will be recovered, and I'm good to go. That is the safest way to protect your funds with Abra. Abra doesn't use a traditional login and password because if you hack Abra, there's no password to steal. That recovery phrase combined with a very secure key that's on your phone is way more secure than what traditional bank accounts do. So do it this way and you'll be much better off than worrying about cloning your phone or having to restore a phone, okay? Please write down your recovery phrase, validate it, store it somewhere safe, and you'll be much better off. Is it possible that you can add additional bank companies which we can add funds in our wallet here in the Philippines? Hope you can add other banks like BDO or BPI for depositing into our Abra wallet. So shout out to our customers in the Philippines. Abra is I think one of the most popular, if not the most popular apps for Bitcoin now in the country. And so right now, there's actually three ways to deposit money. My team will correct me if I get this wrong since I don't live in the Philippines. I do visit a lot, by the way. So when we can get on planes again, I want to hold a meetup again in Manila and in a couple of other places. I'm really excited about that, but who knows when we'll be able to get on a plane again. So in the meantime, there's three ways you can deposit money into the app. The first is you can go to any 7-Eleven in the country and use the kiosks in the store. They're called EC Pay. I think I got that right. And our business there has been exploding. So thank you all for using that feature. It's probably the easiest way in the country. The second one is via Tamunting, and that is or not on Tamunting, but there's other cash locations. Sorry, those of you in the Philippines know what I'm talking about. And then the third is you can use bank accounts through Tamunting to deposit. So if you go into those stores, they can explain to you how to do it if the instructions aren't visible to you in the app. So all three of those methods work today, including, I believe you can even do BPI or BDO through Tamunting in the Philippines today. That doesn't go through Abra, it goes through them, but it works just fine. Our goal is to add more direct bank account support, and that's something that we're working with the Filipino regulators on right now. And as soon as we're done with that process, I will be happy to announce that to the team. So one thing I want, I'd say about half of you are watching via YouTube. The first thing I need you to do right now is at the bottom of the video, there's a big rectangle that says subscribe. If you haven't pushed that button, do me a favor and push that button right now. That allows us to give you alerts as to new content and also shows us that you guys are supporting this effort and you want us to keep doing. We put a lot of work into preparing these videos, the AMAs, and I have to do a lot of homework to make sure that we do a good job here. And so we want to see that you guys like this and want us to keep doing it. So one of the best ways you can do that is to press that subscribe button, and it will send a very positive message to my team. Let's see. So this is a question from Bassam. By the way, so again, please press that subscribe button. All right, so this is a question from Bassam. Beautiful name. I'm sorry if someone asked this already. It's okay. Is there a period of waiting time after adding crypto to the interest wallet before one can withdraw? So yes, that's a good question. If you have money in the interest account, you can withdraw the funds. We have up to 7 days in order to push the money out back to the trading account, and then you can immediately withdraw the funds. Now, the reality is the money will usually be available much faster than that, but depending upon the amount, it may take up to 7 days to get the money out of the interest account. And that's way better than a lot of other investment types where the funds are locked up for weeks or months or even years at a time. So we're trying to make that very fair and as fast as possible. But we chose 7 days as a starting point simply because we want to be clear that it may take us a little bit of time to get the money out. For the few number of withdrawals we've had, we haven't had many. Most people are just leaving the money there. Usually they've gotten the money out much faster than 7 days. But we do ask that you give us at least 7 days for that. And that's in the terms of service as well. As always, great questions. Let me see. Good questions. Keep them coming. Let's see. I want to choose another one from the top here at random. What would be the minimum initial startup capital for the interest account? To my knowledge, there is no minimum. You're welcome to test it out with $5, for example. Like I said, we have people putting in a few dollars in, like $5, $10, and we have people putting in $100,000. So the account is meant to support anyone in the world with pretty much any amount of money, and we welcome all comers. We're not looking, our mission here, and the reason why we're doing this is to democratize access to financial services for everyone. And so as such, we don't want to have minimums or even maximums for that matter. And so if you want to test it out with a small amount of money and put more money in later, or if you just want to make a large deposit, it's all good. Okay, so there shouldn't be any problem with any amount of money there. Let's see, what else? When I'm new to Abra, this is from John Thompson, when you set up funds for deposit into Abra, what funds does it go into first? Then how long does it take to buy crypto coins? Okay, so if you're let me explain. the question for people who aren't clear. So I'm going to go back to my trading account. So you see the add money button at the bottom, at the very bottom of the screen down here, which you see on the screen there. If I press that add money button, these are the methods in the US that I can use. If I'm in a country like Philippines or like somewhere in Central America where we support cash deposits, I might see a deposit cash button on the screen as well. When I press those buttons to add money, depending upon what I'm doing, it might take an hour or a day or like at the most like a day and a half to add that money into my wallet if it's coming from a bank account. As soon as that money is added to my Abra wallet, usually if it's cash, it'll be in the US, true USD. I assume John Thompson is based in the US. So let's say it lands as true USD, and I'll get a push message. Turn on notifications for Abra, please. It gives you a much better experience. I'll get a push message that the true USD is available. And then in real time, immediately, I can convert that true USD to Bitcoin. So John, you don't have to wait to convert the dollars to Bitcoin. As soon as the dollars land in your Abra wallet, you can immediately do whatever you want with them. Okay, you can convert them to true USD, to Bitcoin, right away, to Bitcoin, ETH, whatever you want. And once you convert it to Bitcoin, if you change your mind and say, I want to go back to dollars or go to ETH, you can also do that right away. Okay. By the way, the other great thing about the push notifications is every Monday morning, so if I go to my interest account, I have 3 different coins here. I have four. I have PAX, Bitcoin, ETH, and True USD on this test phone, all earning interest. Every Monday morning, I get a beautiful set of 4 push messages telling me I've now earned interest on my PAX. I've now earned interest on my Bitcoin. I've now earned interest on my ETH. I've now earned interest on my True USD. I love getting those push messages. It makes I don't have Monday morning blues because I'm seeing free money coming in on my phone, and so that's an awesome thing, and that's my favorite thing now about Monday mornings. So I am a young baby boomer, new to crypto. Is there someone I can talk to at Abra before putting money into my new account? Thank you. So Jerry, thank you for the question. Yes. So what I would encourage you to do is, in this case, just send an email to us at hello@abra.com, and one of us will get back to you right away, and we'll talk you through it. It's great. And so if you're worried about doing a very large deposit and you want to talk to someone at Abra first, just send an email to hello@abra.com, and one of our concierge people will talk to you directly, walk you through it. If you want to just do a test of $5-10, you can do that on your own. But anyway, we have people who will even walk you through things. We've done that with people who've done large deposits into the app, and we want people to be very comfortable with the process. So don't be afraid to. There's no such thing as a dumb question when it comes to money. It's your money, right? We're here to support you, to help you grow your money, to make smart investments, and to take advantage of capabilities, but it's our job to get it right for you. And we're here to do that for you, and we have an awesome support team, and an awesome operations team. Let's see. Will Abra ever offer a credit card? Okay, so this is another one of those I wish we had it things as the CEO, because I would use it. So if I won't give anything away right now, except to say, if you read the newsletter last week, we were very clear that we consider the interest-bearing account the next step in our methodical march towards being what I call a crypto bank. Now, what's the difference between a crypto bank and a traditional bank? Well, a traditional bank is based purely on government-printed money, and it uses traditional banking systems where banks don't talk to each other very well. U.S. banks don't work well with international banks. Even small U.S. banks don't work well with large U.S. banks. They have to have other banks in the middle of the transactions. We have this global correspondent banking network, which has been a mess because of over-regulation via the United States. The U.S. is now regulating other countries' banking systems, which is, as an American, I can tell you, is insane. And so the beauty of a crypto-based banking system is if you build the systems correctly, it should greatly democratize access to services. As I mentioned before, we're offering services to people in 100 countries right now. We have people from all over the world depositing crypto or dollars for stablecoins into Abra's interest earning accounts. I don't think that's ever happened before. That's awesome. So it makes sense that we would want to go the next step and enable all types of payments and other services that you would expect a bank to provide. So that's how we're thinking about this. Come with us for the ride. It's going to go step by step by step. But I promise you, if you come with us for that ride over the next few months and few years, we're going to get closer and closer to being that full global bank together. And you'll be able to say to your friends, you know, before Abra became like the bank for the world, like I was using these early features and they really got it. It's incredible how they were able to offer the feature on top of feature on top of feature. And so stay tuned. We have a vision for where we want this to go. We want you to come along for the ride with us. The interest accounts are just the first step. Well, the trading accounts were the first step. The interest accounts are the next step. And you can kind of guess based upon what I'm saying where all this is going. So let's see. By the way, that was Roman. Sarah says, sending positive energy to you and your team. These videos are great. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Sarah. A lot of work goes into this. I'm the face you see. Sorry for that. But there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are helping to make this work. My team sends me corrections if I say something wrong, for example, in real time. We prepare the content in advance. I have to read the FAQs that my support team manages. Lots of people into this, so shout out to the team. John has a question. 20, 30, 50 years into the future, I imagine some crypto assets have appreciated mightily. How does this play out with the interest rates being offered in the investment account? I.e., if BTC is worth 6 figures a coin, is it possible to be earning 4% still? That's a great question. Somebody asked a similar question last week, and the bottom line is Bitcoin has a fixed float that will never go above 21 million. So I can't have 4% forever because eventually we'll be at 21 million, and if I was paying 4% to a billion people, obviously something would break. So we'll see how this evolves. But if Bitcoin, this may be a 5-year phenomenon where we're paying interest, but we should all take the money now. Because if I'm able to generate 9% on stable coins and 4% on dollars now, take the money, right? I have no idea what that's going to look like 5 years from now, but right now it doesn't matter, right? All that matters is we're able to do it. At some point, clearly, Abra or other companies won't be able to pay huge single-digit percentages interest if a billion people are holding Bitcoin and trying to gain interest. But that's where we want this to go. We want Bitcoin to become that stable store of value long-term. So we don't know where this is going in 30 or 50 years. I certainly don't. I wish I did. There's a lot of things I wish I knew 30 years ago, but I didn't. And so let's just go with it for now. And so we'll see where it goes. Thanks for the really cool question, John. I could talk about that stuff all day, but we're here to talk about Abra users. Laurent, Abra has great customer service. They actually talk to you like a person. Yes, they do, Laurent, and we have people both in the US as well as international answering questions, and they really work hard. They really care about the app. A lot of feature requests that we get actually come from support because they listen to what you say and then give feedback to our product team about what you're talking about, what you care about. So thanks for that, Laurent. We love that feedback. Jerry asks a question about the interest accounts. The interest Abra pays on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and dollars, does the percentage change? And if so, how often? So the answer is yes, the percentage may change. Every week we look at the rates. We look at how we're making money for you on that interest. And based upon what's happening in the market, we may keep the rates the same. So for example, you didn't see any change this week. And so that means we kept the rates the same. Or we may see that the demand is actually increasing and we may increase the rates, or they could move the other way. So they will change weekly over time. And we'll see. I don't expect them, let me take that back. We have the ability to reset the rates weekly, but right now I don't have any visibility into the rates changing in the short term. So that's my correct answer to your question. And the other thing that we've been doing is we've been publishing the rates almost every day on our Twitter feed. We don't want to bombard the Twitter feed with rates if they're not changing, But if you're new to Abra, you can actually go to our Twitter feed at Abra Global, and you'll see not only today's rates, but also the top gainers, the top 4 or 5 cryptocurrency gainers for the last 24 hours. We also publish to the feed, and you can see that pretty much every day, sometimes twice a day if there's a lot going on. Hi, Bill. I'm from India. When is Abra open for linking an Indian bank account, and how about the interest accounts? Thanks for that, So there are ways to get money into Abra now. I would suggest there are 2 ways to do that. If you already have access to crypto, you can deposit the crypto now. If you don't and you want to buy a stable coin or Bitcoin and then deposit that into Abra, the best third-party service that I've seen for doing that is a company called Paxful, Paxful. You go to Paxful and they match you with somebody who will sell you the Bitcoin via your bank account. It's a fantastic service. It's very popular in India. Once you take possession of that stablecoin or Bitcoin, you can move it into the Abra wallet to start earning interest. And we may add support directly for Indian accounts in the future. It's certainly via bank wires. That's something I'll tell you we're definitely going to do. So if you want to deposit a large amount of money into Abra, you will be able to wire the money directly. No official date on that, but it's coming soon, relatively soon. But for other methods, small dollar amounts or even cash, Paxful is a great alternative to directly supporting Abra. David says, Abra is my best cryptocurrency wallet with top-of-the-range security features compared with other wallets on the market. Thank you, David. We really appreciate that. So we're going on 10 o'clock now Pacific time, so it's been over an hour. Wow, I can't even believe it's been an hour. There's a lot more questions I didn't get to. So if you want to send your question to hello@abra.com, or better yet, if you're already an Abra user and you have a support question, you can always send your question to support@abra.com, and we would gladly respond directly to your question. Okay, I'm out of breath. It's been a long week. Let's see how Bitcoin's doing before we go. But in the meantime, have a great weekend. And stay safe. I hope you're all wearing your masks. I think we're, hopefully outside the U.S., I think we're getting close to being through this. I think in the U.S., we've still got a ways to go. So please keep wearing your masks. Stay safe. And thank you again for the support of Abra in the forums, online. Tell your friends. The way we get the word out on Abra is primarily through all of you. I've actually looked at the numbers on this. We do get people searching online, but the vast majority of new users we get are coming through other users like you, telling other people Abra is the way to do this. So please tell your friends, tell them to tell their friends. As a matter of fact, that lowers our cost of providing the service. The more people you tell, the lower our cost is, the better rates you get, the higher the interest rates, etc. It all basically has a positive effect for the whole community. Okay? So with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you again for your support for Abra and for the entire team. We love you guys, and keep the questions coming. Twitter, Facebook, support@abra.com. We'll see you on the interwebs. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week on Money Talks. Take care, everyone.